Hi everyone, I'm Hui Yi, the AI auntie from my Auntie Back to School diary on LinkedIn. Why am I the AI auntie? Because I'm 48, but I'm still upskilling to integrate AI into my daily life. I aim to bring fellow Gen Xers along on the journey of AI literacy so that we can prove together that AI is not beyond the reach of middle-aged, mid-career professionals. Today, I will explain how AI has existed long before ChatGPT came about, deep dive into exactly which parts of this technology breakthrough are game-changing, and explain how you can judge when or not to trust the information from a chatbot. Ready? Let's go. Did you know that AI is actually 70 years old? We can be forgiven for thinking that AI became a big deal only between 2 and 3 years ago, because that's when ChatGPT threw AI into the popular consciousness. But that only goes to show how powerful language is. It took almost 70 years for widespread awareness of AI to happen, because that's how long it took for AI to communicate with humans in a way that sounds almost like another human. The term artificial intelligence was born at Dartmouth College in 1955, when John McCarthy, who was an assistant professor there at the time, and who went on to win the Turing Award 16 years later, submitted a proposal for a summer research project. His co-authors were Marvin Minsky, Nathaniel Rochester, and Claude Shannon. And that's another fun fact. Claude Shannon is the Claude that Anthropic's popular AI tool, Claude, is named after. As you see in the paper linked below, the goals of AI when it was first conceived by Professor John McCarthy and his team aren't very different from what's unfolding today. Computers using natural human language, improving their performance independently, and showing randomness and creativity. These were the pillars of that 70-year-old original vision of AI, and they're also the breakthroughs now reshaping our daily lives and our careers as we speak today. Although lifelike AI chatbots like ChatGPT might have appeared to burst on the scene suddenly, they've actually been about a decade in the making. Early attempts at getting computers to process language were limited by the fact that computers need to read all information as numbers. With a vast vocabulary in any given language, tens of thousands of words at least, you can imagine the amount of resources required for computers to learn to talk. The next step was to express words as a compact series of numbers, where words closer in meaning are represented by sets of numbers that are also closer to each other. That meant even understanding only the relationship between numbers rather than words, computers could interpret language in ways that mimic human understanding more closely. And now for the big breakthrough. In 2017, a team of 8 researchers who were at Google at the time released the paper, Attention is All You Need. This introduced a new technology that enabled AI to weigh which parts of the sentence matter the most when interpreting its meaning. And now we see the result. A slew of chatbots that can talk more like humans than ever before. And applying this same technology to images, video, audio, and code enables bots to create new content from patterns established by the vast amount of information now available electronically. The ability to create is why technical people call this type of AI generative AI. Despite sounding remarkably human, AI doesn't follow the same thinking processes that we do. As AI interactions become a bigger part of our personal and professional lives, we need to remember that AI isn't human. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, DeepSeek, Kimi, and there's more. No matter which AI chatbot you use, and you probably use more than one of them, it learned how to write, and it learned every piece of info that it so-called knows through one main source, the internet. Additionally, AI providers might also pay people to create writing samples from specialized domains to enrich the chatbot with human-verified information. This especially pertains to specialized domains such as law or healthcare, or simply to help it write better. But as you can imagine, this is a huge amount of information that can sometimes leave AI confused. It might need to guess what is the most relevant to your question. And when it gets wrong, that is when it makes mistakes, which are called hallucinations. This happens especially if you ask it about something so rare or so specific that the web doesn't have a high volume of easy answers. As you might also imagine, updating a chatbot's internal knowledge constantly would be a ton of work. That's why every large language model, which is the mechanism that forms the engine behind every chatbot, has what we call a knowledge cutoff date, which is when its internal knowledge was last updated. So when you ask a chatbot about things that happen after its knowledge cutoff, you need to make sure that it searches the web for the freshest information. Cutoff periods can differ from one chatbot to another. So being specific about the dates that you want data or info from will help it to know whether it can rely on its internal knowledge or if it needs to do a search. As at March 2026, all the chatbots that I've mentioned in this video are capable of live web search. Now that generative AI chatbots have proliferated for around 2 years, they are able to be more accurate because of two technical developments. Firstly, they've learned from the human feedback they gathered, and engineers, secondly, have developed systems of tools that support them so that they can verify using code and searches on the web their info in situations where they would otherwise have been guessing. Still, going through a large chunk of the info on the World Wide Web means that they've got a ton of knowledge to sift through. How do you maximize your chances that they'll focus on the right thing? Tip number 1, search the web and be specific about dates. Most of the time, if you've done this, chatbots should be able to give you links to the web pages they compiled their info from. I highly recommend doing a sanity check by visiting those pages to verify that the source information was taken in the right context and also that the chatbot did not miss any subtle but important nuances. Tip number 2, setting a persona for the chatbot. A persona is simply a technical word for the role that you want the chatbot to play. For example, if you're asking it to write marketing copy, you can ask it to act like a marketing specialist. But if you want to role-play an interview, for example, you will ask it to act like the potential hiring manager. So for a marketing director position, let's say, you will ask it to act as the CMO or as the head of growth. When in doubt, try different personas and see how the output varies. There's never a fully right or wrong answer when getting ideas or feedback, as opposed to checking facts. So, getting a variety of answers from different models, differently worded questions, or different personas will help you pinpoint what's common across all of them. That way, you would know which responses might carry more weight. My third and last tip, if you want a chatbot to stick to a specific set of knowledge, such as a set of lecture notes or company-specific process documentation, upload it to the chat or use features such as custom GPTs in ChatGPT, Gems for Gemini or Notebook LM in Google, or Cloud projects in Claude, depending on which system your company is in, so that you anchor the chatbot to that specific piece of info. You can state in the instruction section of your project that you only want it to use the info in the documents. So that would reduce the likelihood that it goes off track, especially if you're asking it a question that it can't find an easy answer in the documents for. Next week, I'll talk about agentic AI and the craze of raising lobsters. Thanks for watching and see you next time.